screen. What a fail.
We obviously pre-gamed way too hard.
Happy 420 day early.
Hallelujah. We are here.
That was all me botching our intro, button pushing. Apologies.
Serious epic fail. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod, where we are already punchy on 420. Cheers. Rock on. I know this isn't this. I wish I actually had a great lemonade that was like infused with all of it.
THC infused.
It was. Well, yeah, I took like a shot and it laid me out, but I just can't do it.
I rarely smoke the marijuana anymore, although I used to love it. And
yeah.
But in solidarity, I'm drinking ganja juice by Alta Mountain Brewery, a delicious imperial red ale. So
okay.
And in solidarity, I need to change our logo. Let's see. Up there in the corner, Punch Up Pod. There it is.
Oh, look who worked overtime this week. Let's go for free.
I may be terrible at running this show, but I did create a marijuana logo, which marijuana people love their marijuana leaves. So there we go.
That's a good one. That's how I feel. You know, it's so, I know I drink the shots of vodka here and I do love vodka, but I am a daily wine drinker no matter what, like even when I have the stomach flu. So like that red wine glass just kind of, it's like being by the ocean for me. It just is a zen, calming, you know.
Well, I can appreciate, say what you want about any sort of thing that changes your chemical state or whatever, but marijuana is undoubtedly better for your body than alcohol. Yeah, so anyone who drinks alcohol has no business chiming in against marijuana.
Yeah, no, but do we have to just be like, do we have to be so divisive? What is it with you, Pat? Can we do both? I love the wine. I love the vodka. I love my edibles.
There it is.
There's just a lot. You know, when I was in high school, we used to get stoned pretty much every day, but I wasn't in charge of getting it. I was just in charge of going up to people and being like, hey, and I don't know, like the blends or everything. It's pretty complicated now. So once again, I just allow myself to be served.
There is science now behind the marijuana, allegedly. And you walk into these, I have been into these shops and they're like, oh, this one is indica. I mean, I understand all the terminology and whatnot, but
yeah,
it's all still a crapshoot. So don't really believe what they have to tell you there, but
just
find the marijuana you like and smoke it if you want.
Yeah. If less is more, just think about how much more is, right?
More is like a wheelchair stone, as I used to call it, where you get the wrong thing and you can't move for like 8 hours.
Cannot move. It's like my bones are falling through my skin. It's crazy.
Yeah. These kids are smoking stuff that, like, compared to what we used to, you know, when I started smoking initially, holy crap. You know, it's so strong. But like,
this gets you where you're going fast.
It's better for you than alcohol.
Hi, Reflect the Sun. Thank you. Yes, I cannot have the Cabernet because I'm so old and it's too heavy for my stomach. So just in case anybody's thinking about sending me cases of wine, it's Pinot Noir. I have to do, but it's a high alcohol percentage. It's a 14.5% Pinot Noir every night.
Well, I am drinking an 8.5% over here. So,
oh, that's so sweet. Look at you.
It is.
All right. Well, I don't know. I have a hard out at 6 o'clock today because my mom, who's been here for almost 6 weeks, we've had so much fun. But she is leaving tonight on a red eye. So right after this show, I am taking her to LAX just in time for the masks off for my 80-year-old mother. This, you know, we're not going to have masks on planes anymore. So that was great planning.
Good stuff.
She does have her N95 and I've instructed her, as she knows anyway, like, do not for a second even lift for a sip of anything. But anyway, we are headed to the airport right after this. So we should probably get to it. Although I really do want to hear about your weekend, Pat.
My weekend, I'll just play the outro. Okay. Let's just get on with it. No, let's go. Let's hash it out. You can tell me about your weekend during a segment or something.
Yeah. Let's do it. Oh, wow. Look at Pat. Come on. You get extra credit points today.
I went full green.
We have a whole theme going on here. We got framing police 2024 vision. Doctor know when to cash in. Got some stuff to say about that. Ukraine multiverse. Puff, puff, don't pass. Let's spin the wheel.
Asshole. Who would not pass? But
only
yeah, where's our wheel is up. Here we go.
Getting lots of money from the private prisons. Yep.
Yeah, baby.
Shot. Start with the
shot. On that shot. Yes, we did. Okay, I got it going. It was meant to be. Here I go. I'm getting my vodka on. My shot.
I think we should do this shot in honor of all the Starbucks, Amazon workers.
Hell yeah, doctors,
doctors are now forming a union. I mean, crazy times here. So shot, cheers. We have some graphics, so we should show those graphics.
All right, let's go.
They didn't really fit into a category we had up here, so we just kind of threw them on the wheel. We don't care.
Yeah, are we doing that now?
Let's look at some union stuff.
Start off with something happy. Here we go. Oh, okay.
Oh, this is not happy, actually.
Well, I mean, it is just amazing because it's kind of great because what it means is that the CEOs are absolutely feeling threatened, right? So they are trying to little concessions. And here's Amazon showing what a family you are on Easter Sunday. There is a contest. And if you win the contest, first you have to enroll in the contest, then you have to win it.
You're in a raffle.
You get a goodie bag with water or soda and a candy bar or a bag of chips.
Imagine having to work at Amazon and you don't even get a $2 bag of chips for one in your whole day at work there. But like you get it if you do a great job and you get in this raffle for a bag of chips and $2 worth of shit.
Thank you all for showing up on a holiday.
I'm sorry if I worked there. I mean, I know if I'm working there, I probably need to feed my family or something. I need the job. Anyone working there needs that goddamn job. But if I worked there and didn't need that goddamn job, I would take the most expensive thing I could find, and it would be in shambles. Sorry.
But you'd be fired because their surveillance is so. Don't they even have like tracking ankle bracelets or something? Yeah, I mean it's crazy.
They do because they had I don't know if they have them in all the stores now because there was a lot of backlash, which is why when people say all of our stuff on the internet calling out all these organizations is just complaining. Well, this backlash actually does eventually change some policies, like some of the evils at Amazon. Like they can't, people will not buy their stuff a little bit less, a little bit more if they know their employees are like peeing in cans and cups.
Yeah, although I have to say, like, because that came out probably 15 years ago, the despicable working conditions in their first warehouses where it was so hot and people would like faint, or you had to pee, as you said, in a bottle, or you have to like punch in, but then walk half a mile to go to your actual assigned space. And or you have to walk a half a mile and then punch in. So you're not on the clock, even though you're at work. Like all of that stuff has been known for a long time. And part of the problem is I think even if people have their hearts in a good place, Amazon has put so many companies out of business. They're the only game in town, both for employment for a lot of people, but also for people just to get their, their goods if they're necessary. So I think the unions are the thing that will finally bring them to their knees. Sorry, I'm going to let you talk. Go ahead.
No, amen. I just want to say in my town, here's how bad it's gotten. So there was a Walmart that had too much crime. So Walmart of all places decided to close up. But it's being replaced by an Amazon where you can shop in the store.
We have a few of those.
So
it's really
this
horrible.
This is the new, I mean, Amazon is really going to own everything soon.
Yes.
I mean, because Walmart capitalized on, just everyone needing to buy things as cheap as they possibly could.
Right.
And they make the most profit because they screw their employees over and do everything they can that's shady and own our government.
And they're subsidized by,
subsidized. And now even Walmart, sleaziest company on earth is being replaced by a sleazier company with a better model to put all the small mom and pops completely out of business, right?
That's right. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
And they're starting. Good
stuff. No, you're right. Stuff. Good stuff. Doctors, let's start off on a happy.
ER doctors are organizing. That's a union. 5 Starbucks stores. Now we got 25 from coast to coast are unionized.
That's right.
We saw that beautiful stuff.
Well, this
Amazon.
So gross, right?
This is not a positive.
Well, in keeping with the theme, we're always trying to find like what's the theme of the show, which we botched a little bit because then we realized, oh my God, it's 420. Like, of course we have to do a marijuana theme, but trying to quiet dissent. And so Amazon is banning the words union, living wage, slave labor, harassment, and get this, restrooms. Okay, banned.
Can't say it. So what you're saying is I could say shitter or pisser.
Yeah, they love that. They'd love a shitter.
That's gonna fly really well.
A piss bottle.
You have a piss bottle, boy, from the Monty Python days. That's for the old folks watching. Was that Monty Python? No, that was History of the World. Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks. Yes.
God, I saw that.
Let's actually get to our wheel. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I should put it on screen. Here we go. Spin it.
Yeah, baby.
Oh boy, it just gets worse and worse as all of the refunding and extra funding of the police continues, and Democrats are trying to out police the Republicans. Last week we saw the subway shooting and Eric Adams throwing more money at the police, which we're going to talk to. But I think it was yesterday, this video of a little boy getting handled by the police. And this is where we should start it. This is the police in action.
What is y'all doing? What is y'all doing?
Guess. Take a guess what I'm doing.
Hey, you're like a baby to me. Why you?
Guess what I'm doing.
I don't know what you doing. I just see you snatching him up off the.
No.
So what? So what's going on then?
You're stealing stuff. If he breaks into your house to steal something.
Nah, man. What are you saying? A bag of chips? So y'all treat me like a whole cold-blooded fucking killer?
Keep walking, dude. You don't even know what you're
keep
talking
walking.
about.
I know what I just came up and see. I know the fuck I just came up and see.
Okay, what did you see?
I see y'all snatching him up a bike like you're a fucking grown-ass man. Ain't he saying it wasn't him? Fuck is y'all doing?
That's crazy. How old is he? 10 years old?
Fuck is y'all talking about, man?
That's against the law.
Fuck is y'all doing?
Old, you cannot put that.
What is y'all doing? Take the fucking chips. If you stole some chips, I'll pay for them. I'll pay for them. You don't even know where he lives. Y'all just throwing him in the fucking car.
That's what they do. They come here.
Fuck is y'all doing? Bro? Leave him alone.
No camera. That's all we can do.
He a kid.
Maybe he won the Amazon contest.
He could have. I mean, child labor laws. I mean, who knows? I'm sure we're going to get lobbying for that soon, like lowering should be 16.
There's already been some op-eds in the Washington Post about how, and also from Bill Gates, why child labor is not so bad. So that's where our money is going, towards the police that are putting a kid, traumatizing a kid and a whole neighborhood, because also the people who are filming that and speaking up to the police, like my whole time when I was first watching it, of course, I'm terrified for that little boy. And then the people who are confronting the police, I'm wondering, are they going to get shot while they're speaking up in defense of this little boy? Like, what a horrific statement about our society. I think we have more people in jail than any other country in the world. Our police force across this country, or I think the New York Police Department is the third largest, basically militarily funded, in the world.
It's crazy. And, the only thing keeping those people watching, filming that safe, and it's not even keeping them safe, as we've seen repeatedly, but cameras are everything. Cameras are like the only equalizer, which is why these body cams are always off. They're always, I don't know how that body cam turned off. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, so let's see what the police department in New York, Joshua Potash had a good tweet about it. Can't get over how the NYPD was harassing a homeless encampment while the shooter was a few blocks away. But Eric Adams wants to double the number of cops on the subway while cutting the homelessness budget.
Right.
So Democrats use any tragedy as an excuse to fundraise and go against what they actually ran their campaign on initially.
Right. While focusing, I mean, it's like, what story are you telling? Who is it hurting? Like, first of all, why do we have so many homeless people, right? Like, so we're not going to deal with the systemic issues in this country on any level, not our wages, not our lack of health care, not our crushing debt. We're not going to deal with that, but we're going to criminalize these people who are already living horrible lives because they've been forced out of their homes. But then also, like, where is the actual crime happening that is ruining the most lives, right? Like, is it wage theft, which I think is something like $50 billion a year wage theft? Do they focus on that? No. Do they focus on the $1 trillion tax evasion epidemic by wealthy people? No. Do they focus on the fact that 10 million people a year die because of the pollution from like the top, 100 companies in the world? I mean, to me, that's probably something we could focus on.
I just want to go back before we move on to the, as far as the IRS. So just the IRS part of it. I mean, the IRS could capture trillions of dollars from just enforcing their rules on and all these people that have been shown to be hiding their wealth overseas, evading tax laws. But what do? They say, well, that's too hard to enforce, so we're going to go after little guys. We're going to expand the policing of little people, the small, and by little to them, it's like, you have a bank account with 50 grand in it is little to them, but like,
oh, it's even smaller. If you're a gig economy worker and people pay you on Venmo and it's over $600, that is where they're focusing now. Anybody who makes over $600 on
even
a transaction.
I make over, well, occasionally.
But I mean, that's where their focus is because it's easier, right? Like if you're poor, you're not going to hire a defense attorney to try to litigate. Whereas if, for Amazon, they will spend millions of dollars to save billions. So that is a fight that the IRS doesn't want to get into. It's really horrific
to not want to, of course.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? But yeah, again, like, what is the story we're telling? Why do we only focus on certain amounts of crime or certain kinds of crime? And the papers of record, the New York Times and the Washington Post and all of cable media spends a lot of time ginning up fear in their viewers and their audience because that sells, and they're all in cahoots with, the police and the people who are lobbying for them. So we don't hear about the 10 million. I mean, I just have to say it again because it's astounding. I thought it was a mistake. 10 million people worldwide die every year because of air pollution.
Right there.
So, I mean, that's a crime. That's a crime against humanity. 10 million, wage theft, which I know but like, that's a crime. And then when you find out that the police only solve 2% of the crime, right? They don't prevent crime.
2%.
I mean, 2%.
I know I've told this story before, but like I had video on my phone of someone in my alley back here getting hit by a car. They were collapsed and they were on the ground. I filmed the car driving off. The person had a collapsed lung. It took me fighting with the entire police force in town. There were like, I'm not kidding, 30 cops and a commissioner or some shit. I don't know, some Batman commissioner. I don't know what the police food chain is, but they were all here. They wouldn't even get the guy an ambulance initially. Here's a guy with a punctured lung. He couldn't breathe, and they all refused to take footage from my camera. I'm like, so you're saying you don't want footage from, so this is what the police are. They're here to protect property, end of story.
of wealthy people.
Of
Yeah, because
extremely
if you've
wealthy.
ever had anything happen to your own property, I don't know what your experience has been, but when we've had that experience, they basically say, file a report. We're never going to catch the person. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
know.
So when I was younger, I remember we had a lot of car stereo theft in our neighborhood, and we had like 3 or 4 cars in our own house, stolen. And they came out, took fingerprints. I mean, it was a whole different world than it is now. Now,
Yeah.
you think cops are going to take fingerprints for a car stereo? God, no.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard not to think and know that it's because the elite and the powerful know that we are coming for their money, or we are coming for their power, or we are just going to be so devastated that there's no other option than to revolt with pitchforks. And they are just ginning up their own defenses because they're at war with their own society. Yeah.
The police department has been able to exist as it is, as a tribe, essentially. Yeah. So they are a gang. They are like this own gang that looks out for itself. Even when it comes to funding, they overspend every year so they can justify getting this new tank. Have you ever seen old police cars? Old police cars don't exist anymore.
No,
because every year or two,
Thanks,
they
Obama.
get brand new police cars and military equipment, which
that started heavily under Obama. And it's continued now. So they all work in concert together, right? The defense budget, the defense industry, and the police industry. I mean, they are all enriching themselves.
Right. And just a reminder that in the peak of the Eric Wright and the Black Lives, I'm sorry. No, Eric Wright. Support across the nation was almost at 80% or something for the Black Lives Matter movement. And then the Democrats won the election, and then they blamed Black Lives Matter and the defund the police movement for losing some of their elections, and basically turned support to less than it was before Eric Wright was murdered.
That's right.
So when we don't put a lot of faith in Democrats, they've earned it, is the point.
Yeah. They've worked really hard to, and what happened to the George Floyd bill? I mean, as toothless as it was.
I'm sorry, I said it right. Floyd,
the George Floyd bill, which he said, Biden said was a priority of his. And also Biden wouldn't have, those 2 Senate seats in Georgia would not have been won by Democrats if activists on the ground had not galvanized people who were marching to vote for somebody who said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black, and promised that he was going to do something about the out of control devastation of Black, brown, poor communities in our country by the police. And he's done nothing except fund them more.
Right. And so how do Democrats fare in the future? We're going to get into that hopefully when we hit 2024 on the wheel. But I mean, everything they ran on and squeaked by for Biden, they relied on enthusiasm against the police, enthusiasm against the Republicans' climate denial, and we've seen nothing but that from the party itself at this point. They didn't change anything. I mean, it's going to be a shit show in the midterms. Bottom line, it
certainly is. All right, should we spin the wheel? We ready?
Oh, look at that mess.
Whoa. Somebody's been drinking too.
I'm going to call our IT person. DPO. It's fucking awful.
That's the truth. It's fucking awful.
And I just want to add one thing. In Sacramento is a pretty, I wouldn't call them progressive, but we're very democratic. And yet we constantly reelect a sheriff who has never prosecuted anyone for murdering anyone from the police for anything.
Well, and also, okay. Yes. And I just want to say, Karen Bass, who's running for mayor of LA right now, she is also, we got to refund the police. We need more police out there. That's the progressive Karen Bass. And, when they talk about this thing of I just saw another video today of some woman who jumped a turnstile and, there's 6 cops on her, throwing her to the ground, arresting her for jumping a turnstile. There are other countries where public transportation is free. right? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. So
yeah.
I just meant to bring this up earlier. I did not mean to cut you off, although I do enjoy that. The result of Eric Adams flooding the subway with cops to crack down on violent crime is 350 fair evasion arrests, 17,000 summons for misdemeanor crimes, a mass shooting and bombing plan, an actual violent crime that cops did not prevent. So
that's right. Travesty. All right, spin the wheel. We need something happier. There looks like a lot of good, happy stuff on there.
And due to technical difficulties framing, the police is still there. If we land on that, we're going to assume
we'll
that's
skip
a shot.
it. We'll take a shot.
Baby.
Look at that.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. I'm going to do it. And Mary, no, we have not already landed on that. Don't worry. We're coming to Dr. Wen at some point for sure. All right. Shot time. Where's my, we pregame pretty hard today. So I don't even know where my shot glass is.
Trying to keep up with the 420 folks, which
that's
is
right.
difficult.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, luckily, I enlisted my husband to drive my mom to the airport. I mean, I'll be there, but he's driving. Yes, see that? I knew it. I knew it. Wait, it says it's going to remove the winner in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
You did
Well,
it.
since we changed things, I realized
that's our only option.
I
am going with my mom to the airport. My husband will be driving. I just don't want anybody to think that after I said I had a hard out at 6, that I'm having 6 shots and then getting in a car. I would not.
I didn't even realize that. I should have tried to step in and save everyone involved. Oh, hello.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah, baby.
Wow. I'm gonna need to sip my beer for this one.
Mary, where are you? We need some of that. Cheers to everybody. All right.
I miss the days when marijuana didn't disagree with me. Like I can still smoke, but I have to like have the teeniest amount, or I get weird.
I miss the days when I felt comfortable sharing a joint with people. I won't put my lips on something that somebody else did anymore.
Don't say that out loud. It's gonna be weird here.
Prom night.
Cheers.
Cheers. Is that 4 or 5? Holy cow. All right.
Baby.
Yeah, baby. Doesn't matter. Oh, we got a topic. Kaylin's in the house. Hello, Kaylin.
So we've had so much stuff to talk about with Ukraine, and we haven't gotten to it in like 4 weeks. And
the wheel. It was decided by the wheel. Sorry.
It's decided by the wheel.
Out of our control.
You know, the thing to me, first of all, of course, I feel like I always have to say this the way whenever we talk about Democrats, I have to say I can't stand Trump, which is why I'm so frustrated that Biden is so similar to Trump. I'm frustrated that, Democrats are going to hand everything over to Trump or the next Trump or whatever right-wing fascist takes his place. What Putin did by invading Ukraine is despicable. It's a war crime. He shouldn't have done it.
God, that's a long spiel. I hate that we have to do that every fucking time.
It's like,
it's so ridiculous.
So that said, the narrative that is crafted by the Western media, to me, is, first of all, it is such propaganda to pretend that Ukraine and Zelensky aren't horribly corrupt, that NATO didn't have a huge hand in pushing this, that this isn't the aim that the US and NATO had all along, was to engage in a proxy war and use Ukrainian civilians as cannon fodder to bleed Russia dry. I mean, all of that is what's happening. And so when you know that, if you want to support the Ukrainian citizens, you want an off-road to this. You want to end this bloodbath because they cannot beat Russia. They will not beat Russia. They will just be slaughtered.
But they could be there for 15 years, enriching the arms dealers forever,
right,
who just got their money pipeline cut off because the U.S. left Afghanistan.
Right.
So that's
So
an option.
Yeah.
But
Right.
go ahead.
So what they're going to do to gin up support and make people like obfuscate the fact that this is all just for the defense industry to make a ton of money and to maintain US hegemony, they have got to take away any negative aspect of Zelensky, who is a billionaire. And I'm sorry, but how some TV star in the poorest country in Europe becomes a billionaire is not because of good deeds or philanthropy, right? That's corruption. Nobody earns $1 billion. But also they have an incredibly influential Nazi battalion. In the Azov battalion, they have the right sector, they have the Banderas, they have,
right.
They have a Nazi problem.
And I think the major point here is that if you're going to propagandize the public, I mean, basically we're on the verge of like, this is good versus evil. This is black and white. The public deserves the full story of everything. It doesn't mean we still don't ultimately back Ukraine, but to say we should support a no-fly zone over Ukraine,
right,
which could lead to nuclear war, some of these details might prevent people from following that position if they just tuned in. I mean, before this war, Zelensky was in the shitter with his country.
That's right.
They hated him. He was absolutely hated in his own country. Why? Because he was caught up in the Pandora Papers, which exposed that he was laundering money.
I mean, he came in 2019 on a platform of peace and anti-corruption. And then
then he was in the Pandora Papers.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I know we've shown this before, but yes, the anti-oligarch, what's his name? Zelensky in the Pandora Papers, offshore accounts. But the other thing is, the Azov battalion, that we are just flooding these right-wing militias with billions of dollars of weapons. What did they call them? Lethal aid.
Lethal aid, which is
where do you think those are going to end up? Right?
Lethal aid.
Yeah, lethal aid. Where is that going to end up in the future? He's letting people, violent criminals, out of prison to help fight. I mean, and again, like, listen, I am just so sad for anybody who is ravaged by war and bombs and death, and it's horrific. But I feel like if people in this country and the West didn't have such a sort of black and white, simple understanding of this, there would be more calls for diplomacy and peace. This is not a war that Ukraine is going to win.
And that's the point. So if you look at Russia and you say they're a bully, they're a schoolyard bully, right? The US basically came along and said, hey, little guy getting your ass kicked, don't worry about it. You just got to fight him for a while. Just, stand up to him. We got your back. We got your back. Here's some weapons. Here's some little stuff. And meanwhile, here's a knife. Here's a stick.
Right.
And the bully's got a fucking tank is what we're dealing with, because the longer this is prolonged, the worse Ukraine is going to be, period. Everyone knows that. Everyone informing you on TV knows that the longer this is prolonged, the worse off Ukraine is going to be.
And the more that they keep saying that Putin is a war criminal and crimes against humanity and genocide, they're not leaving any wiggle room. So the more the US and UK and the West does that and leaves him no room, the worse the atrocities are going to be aimed towards Ukraine. Yeah. Okay. So here's the next track. Wait, can I just take it out for a second? Because I just want to say, hey, we're fighting with the buttons. There's been this new endeavor to whitewash the Nazis in Ukraine and to pretend that they don't exist. And listen, we have Nazis in the US. There's Nazis everywhere. They do have a bigger problem in Ukraine. And also there has been this other approach of saying, well, Zelensky is Jewish, so how could he support Nazis? But that's like saying, oh, well, Barack Obama is black, why would he militarize the police, right? Like, it's such a...
But before you say that, you need to clarify that you are Jewish, therefore you can say that.
I'm Jewish, so I can say that. I have the right. No, I mean, but anybody should be able to. But yeah, I mean, I have to say, I'm stunned by the liberals who are jumping to the defense of literal Nazis to own Putin and Trump. And I mean, I put a lot of this at the doorstep of Hillary Clinton, who just couldn't own her catastrophic loss to Trump and had to create this whole fiction that he was a Putin puppet. Anyway, why didn't Putin invade under Trump? I'm so curious. That was one of Bill Maher's only good things that he said in the last 2 decades. But so now there is this huge push to reclassify the Azov battalions as not Nazis who would like to see me gassed in an oven. So it started.
You are not allowed to mention the word Nazi. I mean,
that's right.
So was Poland first or Japan?
Poland.
Which one?
Well, I mean, they did it. I think Poland was first just a couple days ago. Their paper of record. They are no longer calling the Ukrainian militia neo-Nazi. And so this is a prominent Jewish writer for the paper. So he just quit because, up until a year ago, everybody was really clear on the fact that the Azov battalion were Nazis, right? Then there was just now, Japan removes Azov battalion neo-Nazi designation. The New York Times, the false claim that Ukraine is run by Nazis. So while they are not run necessarily by Nazis because the president is Jewish, let's just remember that he was threatened by those same battalions. In April 2019, Zelensky was elected with an overwhelming 73% of the vote on a promise to turn the tide. He was a peace candidate. He wanted to strike peace with Russia. He wanted to implement the Minsk Accords. But then he was threatened by, and this was reported on up until a year ago, or up until a few months ago. He would lose his life. The Right Sector, which is another military brigade, co-founder Yarosh said he will be lynched if he strikes a peace deal.
And that was just one of the threats.
Another one right there. Yeah. Threatened with his life. He will be, that might be the same guy. No, because that's the OUN leader, but that might be Yarosh also. I don't know. I can't read the Ukrainian.
No idea.
So that's just saying it again. But I mean, at that point, it was obvious to everybody, and it was reported on, that Zelensky was not able to act of his own accord. Also, what's not being reported on right now in mainstream media is that Zelensky has asked the US for permission to negotiate with Russia. He does not have that ability. We will not allow him to negotiate. He cannot unilaterally say that he'll take away the US sanctions against Russia. And without that, he has no power to negotiate peace. So we've handicapped him from being able to do that. So then his only possibility is to ask for more weapons.
And the U.S. has sold this narrative that it's so clear cut, black and white, this good versus evil. I mean, that the American public is just so propagandized at this point. I mean, the Oscars, you got Zelensky speaking at the Oscars, you got him speaking at I don't know, what's the other one? The Golden Globes? I'm not.
The Grammys, I think. Wasn't he? Did he talk about the Grammys? Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got Malcolm Nance. So here's his quote first. The more I saw of the war going on, the more I thought I'm done talking. So about a month ago, I joined the International Legion here in Ukraine. First off, the likelihood of him being in the actual war is next to nil. This guy is a CIA spook. He's been that way forever. Technically he's a terrorism expert who appears on MSNBC all the time, but he writes and sells books.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't make you a bad person because I write and sell books, but I mean, his shtick is, if you need someone to come on and say, we should support this war, or we should arm these people, or we should send some more bombs, you call Malcolm Nance.
Yep.
And so here he is in the ultimate PR, literally arming up.
Yeah. I saw somebody, as I was going through the comments, asked if we have a source on the 1.4 billion. You know, we showed it a few weeks ago. I don't have it up here now, but his show, Zelensky's comedy show where he played a president, was financed. The production company was financed by Zelensky. I don't know, but he's a big corrupt billionaire in Ukraine who also helps fund the Azov Battalion. I will make sure that I find that and put it in our description. But I do have the receipts and the link to it. I just don't have it right now. But yes, I think it's like $1.3 billion that he has.
He's a billionaire. People don't understand that. They see him like on a train in some ratty outfit or something. And which is not to say that he's like, I'm not saying he's a fraud. I'm not saying he's disingenuous, but he's filthy fucking rich. And I mean, that should factor. People should be able to make their own conclusions on this based on all these things happening. And so it's not such a clear-cut situation. And but if you don't know, like Nance is a clown. Like Kiko nailed it. He's a total clown.
Yeah, he is a clown. All right. Oh. Should we move on? Because we have 19 minutes.
Since you have a heart out, let's move on.
I know, a heart out.
Baby.
That's what she said. Yes.
Look at this. Let's go.
I'm actually glad that it's being removed automatically because what is that one? Like 6 shots. Oh my God.
We haven't even gotten to Dr. Wen.
Oh,
or Puff Pass. Let's freaking.
There you go. Should we just do that one?
No, we'll spin it. One of these.
Yeah, baby.
Wow. Okay.
Let's just.
The God said it, and let it be yours. I don't know. I'm not religious enough to even make a statement.
Oh my God. Cheers.
At least I have good bourbon.
Okay.
Let's just pretend it landed. Well, all right.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Baby.
Come on. Oh my God.
There it is.
There we go.
Hello.
Yeah, legitimately, we landed on it. Legitimately. Well, wait, are we revealing your big secret or no?
What's my big secret?
I mean, like your account. Do we get to?
Oh, I mean,
ownership?
I literally said on this show last week, you know what? I should make a Dr. Len account. And then that night,
I don't listen to you ever.
Yeah, I know. How was your week? So I said, I was just thinking out loud. I didn't plan it. And I was like, after the show, I had obviously a bunch of shots. And I'm like, let's make the Dr. Len account. Dr. Wen account. And I did. And 5 days later, it's banned. But in 5 days, I raised a lot of ruckus, and as the squad would say.
Okay, so it started with it didn't start with you created an account, and it went around the Twitter sphere so quickly that it was mentioned by. Well, first of all, you got tons of blue check doctors, even like a doctor at the UN World Health Organization.
Can I just say that I had a ridiculous amount of like serious, legitimate people. Like I've never had such a rapid rush of blue check followers. And it's because the medical people, doctors, nurses, medical experts, all of them have been screaming into the void forever about nobody's listening to us. These people on TV are not speaking for us. They're not say it for me.
Epidemiologists. Or they are, but most of them are like,
but they're not public health experts either. And
that's right.
All like public health experts are all saying we need to take precautions and keep up. We should have been more vigilant from the start. We're not like COVID being airborne isn't being talked about. I mean, all these things. So anyway, my point is all these people, they were like
thirsty for someone to call her out.
Yes, they're thirsty for it. So I have no business getting a follower from the UN health. What I'm gonna
Yeah.
sorry, I'm gonna keep talking forever about my followers because I'm a
Okay,
narcissist
so
with the podcast.
I'm gonna get us going. So we have 15 minutes. I want to
Yes,
get to this.
all right.
Okay. So
Hard
Mehdi Hassan tweets about it. There's a Leanna Wen parody account on Twitter, and to be honest, I'm starting to struggle to see the difference between it and the real thing. What's with these incessant and literally COVID minimizing takes? So he quotes Leanna Wen, but is saying she's being, called out. Well, that's all it took to get we've reviewed your appeal and you are suspended.
Gone.
See
Take
ya.
care. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Jettisoned, right? Well, then Leanna Wen goes on a blocking spree. She does not want to take any criticism, even though she's the face basically of this administration and its approach to COVID that's killed 1 million people. 41% of the people who died in January were fully vaccinated, boosted, vaccinated.
Right.
41%.
And her solution is period, just be vaccinated. I mean, she
No
says
masks.
suggests it's a personal choice, but as a public, if you're advising the public on public health policy, that is not a solution. Individual responsibility is not public health.
Exactly. And they're doing this really insidious and disingenuous take right now, the White House. So they are in cahoots with the Leanna Wens and the corporate media and the CDC in pushing towards mask off, open everything up, get everyone back to work. They've been talking about that all along. They took the recommendation of the CEO of Delta back in January or December that we only need a 5-day quarantine if you test positive for COVID, which was completely contradicted by the science.
Utterly anti-science.
Right. So now that they got exactly what they want, and they're, they can blame it on some Trump judge who's a buffoon, of course, but she's now gone against the CDC recommendation. So now there's no more masks on airplanes. People are taking them off mid-flight when you thought you were possibly in a masked environment. And now Biden's going to say, oh, no, we think people should wear a mask. But they got exactly what they want. It's like the whole Amazon, we're coming for you, and then giving them $10 billion of government support.
Well, not to pivot topics, but it's the same thing they use every time. They look for an excuse not to do the thing everyone wants them to do that they ran on.
That's right.
So now the CDC is equivalent to Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. I mean, we can't do it. The CDC, we can't do it. We have no power.
Yeah.
You're literally the president. You do have power.
Yeah.
But so it did bring out the best of Dr. Leanna Wen, who what do we see? What did she say? Well, she blocked me, of course. I mean, I don't blame her for that one. I would block me. I mean,
she blocked your parody account.
My parody. Well, she blocked me. She blocked me because
you liked
she knew,
she
knew I was the parody account.
Yeah.
But she went on a blocking
spree. She talked about how it was sexist. It's such sexist.
Whoops. Yeah. So here's her first. Well, no, let's just show this one since you're on a crunch for time. So to create a more civil space that allows for dialogue and to protect her own health and well-being of people who want to have a conversation. I see. This is why I'm paraphrasing.
I'm blocking certain accounts. She's blocking certain accounts. Bullying and harassment are not productive.
Okay, before we move on, I just want to say I do not engage in sexism on my account. I mean, I intentionally avoid anything parody wise that would be, I don't want to be labeled as sexist or misogynist or, I'm very aware of that. So I don't go into any sort of racist kind of stuff. So anyway, that's my caveat.
Yeah. But then not only did she block a parody account, she started blocking doctors, right? So, one doctor after another is getting blocked just for disagreeing with her take that people should not wear, her take that people should just go live their best lives, right? It just went on and on. There was a whole, every doctor who said, hey, public health is not being served by her advice.
Yeah. Honestly, I swear to God, this account, like I have a parody account in Limbo that has 50,000 people following it that I don't use, but this account gained 5,000 followers in like 3 days. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Because
And they're
people are panicking. They know, the UK just shut down all their flights last week. So we can pretend like everybody can just like put their fingers in their ears and act like, oh, this isn't a problem. And this is, what is it, mild, this new variant, as the last one was mild.
But doctors and people and anyone in health understands that this is harming the public right now. This is harming the public.
And they're lying. They're lying, right? So they've changed the metrics. They've changed the metrics. So the community transmission right now, up until a month ago, would look like this on a map. That's the community transmission. We're in substantial and high transmission levels in most of the country. But because they changed the metrics and they said, now we're going to do community level instead of transmission, what they did was, oh, well, if you're not in the hospital. But, we know that a third of people who get COVID develop long COVID issues. It attacks their organs. We are in a country where we have 30 million people who don't have health insurance.
And that is the point. Imagine if in lieu of Liana Wen, you had someone on who actually presented any discussion on long COVID, like she literally, every argument she makes gets shut down if long COVID even exists.
That's right. That's right. Because, when they talk about, oh, it's just like the flu and hey, look, there's 82-year-old Nancy Pelosi and there's Barack Obama and there's Merrick Garland and all the fanciest people in the country who get it and they're fine. And they say it's just like the flu. They have the best health insurance in the world. They test every day. So the second they know about it, they take medicine.
It's completely a class issue. So Liana Wen is either CNN has her on because of her own positions, or she has her positions to be on CNN, one or the other. But the public knows, doctors know that this is not correct. Like this is not the way forward. I had a point, but I'm just mad.
It's really
I want to say on the class issue. So she has full access to Paxlovid that will,
that's right.
That is at this point prematurely, people think it might prevent long-term COVID issues even, but it's not available to you and I. You have to go through extraordinary lengths to get it, but she has those for sure. So she's not worried about opening up the public. She's in a society where her world is more vaxxed than the general population.
Right.
They're masking, they're being
they're testing. They are using all of those different they're, that Swiss cheese model, they're using all the pieces of the cheese and they're leaving us with one. And,
old Liana Wen believed in all that. She said all that. And that's why people fell in love with her, because she said all that when Trump was president.
She criticized
Biden initially, but then quickly pivoted to, change of plan. And that's why people in healthcare absolutely abhor her lately.
And feel betrayed because she's not. Yeah. And just as a reminder, this came out at the very beginning to make people understand masking, and if you have, it's like, two people without masks, that the possibility of transmission is above 90%, right? And it keeps going down. But when both people are wearing masks, that is the most effective. And we all know that as soon as they said, oh, it's a private, personal decision, well, then you're not supported. Like, you go to school, my kid's the only one in his class who wears a mask, and he can't wait to take it off, which he's doing it, but like, you're not supported by the group. And so you're less safe. You're less likely to do it. You're made to feel like you're taking it too seriously. Yeah.
Well, so for example, every day, I don't talk about my job, but every day I go into people's houses and do work for them. And they tell me, and this is in liberal California, Sacramento. Everyone, 70% of the houses are Democratic that I go into. And they're like, we're fully vaxxed, so don't worry about the masks. You know, that and that's what they've learned from watching CNN. That's
right.
what she has taught people right there. Flat out, like bottom line.
Yep. Well, yeah. It's really depressing. But again, you know, as before we realized that we were doing this on 420 pot day, we were talking about shutting down discussion, right? So you can't say certain words in Amazon. You can't take the powerful, you know, private doctor, whatever she is, Brookings Institute doctor, Leanna Wen, to task for spreading misinformation. You know, they are trying their hardest to silence dissent. And I think that's a really scary, you know, changing the definition of a Nazi. I think it's scary territory when you can't tell the truth. Like, listen, we should still support Ukraine not getting invaded by Putin. We should do something to fix that situation, but we can be honest about what their military is. We can be honest about, you know, I mean, I just, that silencing of dissent is the end of a democracy. And then I'm not sure what we're protecting so much anymore.
Yeah, and we're in a world where Twitter is okay with that. I mean, not just for my stupid account that was up for 5 days. I don't really care about that.
Right.
But ultimately, like, people need to push back on Leanna Wen. I mean,
Yeah.
she's the main. She is like the voice on CNN that people look to for trusted advice on COVID. So because of her earlier advocation for policies that actually protect people, they think, oh, she's looking out for us. So when she says it's safe, they're like, holy shit. Well, goddamn, we have to live our lives. You know, she's living her life. So let's go live our lives.
Yeah.
You know,
bad news.
That leads to things like the public being okay on some level with the airline masks being lifted.
God, those videos.
Less pushback because of her. The Democrats will get less pushback because she's on TV every fucking night saying it's not the biggest deal in the world. And she's now saying, oh, we should, you know, she's supporting masks now on airlines, but she wasn't, like 2 weeks ago. She wasn't. 2 weeks ago, she was making the argument that there's like, you should have a COVID section and a mask section and a not mask section.
But I mean, again, it's like the same thing with the Amazon, right? Like Joe Biden ran saying that he's a pro-union guy, pro-union Joe, Union Joe, whatever, did nothing to come out in favor and to help the people who were voting, you know, to unionize before it happened. Afterwards, then he says, yeah, we're coming for you, Amazon. We're pro-union. And then right away turns and gives $10 billion to them. So like once you get the policies that you and your capital, Wall Street donors want, then you can come out and say, it's just like, you know, listen, when we had a Republican governor in California, did the majority state Democratic Congress send a Medicare for all bill to him? No.
Yeah. I mean, we had a super majority here and literally pressured all of our representatives to say they would support it. We had the votes across the state for Medicare for all, and they found a way to avoid it. And that's the same thing Biden's doing right now. And the argument is that you're going to hear from Biden is one more Democrat, two more Democrats, elect Democrats. And I'm not saying don't elect Democrats, but it's not going to fix it. There will always be an Anthony Rendon and a Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema. They're eager to step up and be that person because they're going to get tons of money. They're going to get filthy fucking rich for being that person. And that's the problem right now in the Democratic Party.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what the solution is, except it's almost 6. So I got to switch to wine and then get in the car and take my mom.
Only drive on wine.
Only drive on wine.
Responsible people.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing, and maybe we should have ended on this, is it is very exciting to see all the working people start trying to form unions and to consolidate some power.
That is where our power lies right now. It doesn't mean don't vote for people you think are, you know,
I mean, it's better to have more Nina Turners in Congress than not.
Yeah, but even if you want to vote for the lesser evil and just say this person's a little bit better than that person, that's fine. But also make sure we gather power, because unions right now are changing the world, and they will really infect the population. People will see a union works at Starbucks. There's 5, there's 25, there's 30. Everyone's flipping out.
Yep.
Starbucks. Amazon. When you get Amazon workers all unionized, you will make. I mean, they run the world. So if
that
they're
would change our country. Absolutely.
yeah, that would change our country. So support all the unions. Don't cross picket lines ever, please.
That's
dear
right.
God.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'm seeing all these things. That's right. There are a bunch of unions happening. You guys are awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, we're going to do a show because Pat's about to take some fancy trip. No, he's going away next week.
I'm
for
taking
a couple
a bougie European cruise. I just want you to
wear a mask the whole time.
Okay, so
we're going to take a show on. Yeah, go ahead.
I know you have heart out, but I just want to explain that. You can't leave me on that because my friend is literally dying of cancer. It's on her bucket list. It's if she can do it, I can do it. So she put this together, and that's why I'm doing it.
That's
so
of course. No, I'm teasing you, and of course that's a great thing.
No, Lila, you're kind of a terrible person.
I'm a terrible person. Start a parody account about me. Cheers, you guys. We're doing a show this Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We will put out a notification about it. That's the, what is it, 2021, 22, 23, 24th. The 24th?
Sunday.
At 5. Sunday
at 5.
So we'll see you all then. Cheers, everybody.
See you then. Cheers.
Bye.